Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. It's another all new news video that I've got in store for you today, talking about some of the biggest headlines that are currently buzzing around the world of football right now. But before we get into all of them major topics and talking about them, analysing them and discussing them, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things always and forever be greatly appreciated as always. But for now, let's get into the headlines. Alright, we've got to begin with yesterday's big breaking news story, which was of course about Manchester City, who are looking to make a big wave in this transfer window in the form of signing River Plate striker Julian Alvarez. News broke yesterday that City were in advanced talks with the Argentine international, and you may remember that obviously Alvarez was a subject of a transfer matter earlier on in this transfer window, with him attracting the interest of Manchester United. Now, of course, nothing materialised there, and it seems like that has opened the door for Manchester City to swoop in and to make more of this situation than what they did. The Argentine striker is said to have a release clause of somewhere in the region of 16 million euros. But according to Fabrizio Romano, River Plate aren't willing to give him up without a fight, and they actually do want him to stay with the club, at least on loan, until his contract runs out at the end of the Argentine season in December 2022. To me, it would seem that, of course, City would hold the cards in this situation. If the release clause is legitimate and actually is within his contract, and if City do meet that release clause, it would then be up to City as to whether or not he stays on loan with the club, or whether they actually want him to join up with Manchester City as soon as possible. The ball would certainly be in City's court. But until a fee is agreed and until personal terms and all of that other stuff is done and dusted, especially when it comes to, transfers happening outside of Europe, they do tend to take a little bit longer than they normally would when they're inside of Europe or inside of their own league and so on and so forth. We'll have to wait and see what happens with Julian Alvarez going forward, but it does seem likely that he will be officially unveiled as a Manchester City player soon, with all the talks and reports that are coming out by the minute, it seems, on this situation. And from what I've seen and what I've heard, he's another exciting prospect about to join Pep Guardiola's Manchester City side, and it does make sense. Although City are top of the league without playing a natural striker for the majority of the campaign, a natural striker is clearly where they are lacking in depth. So it makes sense to strengthen their squad in terms of that position, add another layer and some depth to their squad, and of course City are looking for this kind of player going forward as well. There's talk of Haaland coming in the summer, of course, so they are looking to even add more to their armoury and more to their artillery up front, which, like I say, when you're Manchester City and when you've got a blank checkbook, it seems, it just all makes sense. So keep your eyes on this developing story, because it is set to be taking off seemingly in the coming days. Also in the news, last night saw Norwich escape the relegation zone following a 3-0 victory against Watford in what was seen as a big relegation 6-pointer between two sides in desperate need of points. It was the Canaries who came out on top thanks to a brace from Josh Sargent and an own goal by a Watford defender. Watford's evening went from bad to worse as the Hornets were forced down to 10 men when Emmanuel Dennis was sent off for a second bookable offence. And if you could listen really closely, when the time of his dismissal happened, you could hear fantasy football managers around the country just groan in absolute annoyance and frustration at the time of his sending off after putting him into their team this week. Of course, including yours truly. Of course, the moment I put him into my squad, he gets sent off. Of course that happens. Of course. It just makes sense. Anyway, Sargent's first goal was well worth another watch. A sort of back heel volley of sorts was great to watch. But it's more about the result, of course, for Norwich. That's what will matter, obviously, more to them. Who will have even more fight and belief following this result that they can survive in England's top tier division for at least more than one season and beat the drop. And I think you'll find that Dean Smith, during his early kind of time there, is proving to be doing quite the decent job down with the Canaries at Carrow Road so far. So fair play to him, and for him, I hope it continues, kind of. It should be mentioned that the game's other talking point was an 11-minute delay because of floodlight failure. Sort of poetic in a way, because it could also be lights out on Claudio Ranieri's time at Vicarage Road. There's no win in 8 games now in their last 8 games for the Hornets. Only 2 wins in the 13 Premier League games that Ranieri has took charge of. And now they're in the relegation zone. Things do not look good for both the Hornets and for Ranieri right now. And we all know, of course, how Watford conduct their business when it comes to their manager's situation. Whenever things are in a downward spiral, whenever things look bleak, they tend to give the old manager the boot and bring in somebody else in the hope that a new manager bounce can just keep breathing new life into Watford going forward. So, and as well as that, it has been a while since they appointed a new manager. Ranieri was appointed in, I believe, October, so it has been a while. They are probably overdue for a new managerial appointment. And with another huge relegation 6-pointer on the horizon against Burnley coming up, it will be interesting to see if the Italian does make it to that game in a couple of weeks' time. There is a couple of weeks break, so of course it may seem more likely that a new manager would be coming in. I wouldn't be surprised if he does get the sack between now and that next game, given that there is a 2-week break, but we'll have to wait and see what happens to Ranieri, to Watford, and of course to Norwich going forward. But the bottom line here is that it was a big 3 points won by Norwich last night. Next up, we're talking about the one winger known as Adama Traore, and it is said that Tottenham Hotspur are said to be stepping up their interest in the Spanish winger. According to Fabrizio Romano, Tottenham are looking to step up their interest in Wolves winger Adama Traore in the coming days. Of course, we are about 8 or 9 days or whatever it is until the end of this transfer window. So of course deals are going to be done thick and fast. You would imagine between now and the end of January. We know that Spurs have been a long time admirer of the explosive winger, as his future has been up in the air at Wolves now for a while, with just 18 months or just under 18 months left of his current contract there. Traore does appear to be weighing up his options over his future. There is said to be, of course, a contract extension on the table at Molineux for him, but it also is being said that Wolves won't stand in his way if he does decide he wants to leave the club in the near future. Personally, I don't see this as a position that Tottenham need. His pace, his power, his strength would all be worthy assets and attributes to have within, obviously, a player at a position. But I just think that Tottenham may need to prioritise their squad additions a bit more thoroughly, and I think that they have probably bigger problems in other areas rather than this right wing back kind of position that they see Traore possibly playing. But whilst I'm baffled in terms of the choice and priority, I am kind of inclined to reserve my judgment a little bit on this, because as we know, Conte can definitely improve players, and whilst Traore does have good attributes, like I mentioned before, his end product along with his decision making has always been somewhat questionable. Maybe Conte can unlock his potential further, and maybe that side of the game will be improved because of it, but that obviously will remain to be seen. Either way, Adama Traore will be one name to definitely keep your eye on for the near future. Next, moving on to a story regarding Jesse Lingard, as he's been heavily linked to a move to Newcastle United this month. We spoke about Lingard before, and we know that a move away from Manchester United is looking very likely to happen, whether it's in this transfer window or definitely in the summer when his contract is up. But with the days counting down in this transfer window, like I mentioned earlier, obviously these moves will have to happen quickly, and I think Lingard does want to play some football at least this season, and I think he isn't going to get it at Manchester United right now, so a move away will seemingly do him the world of good. Like I say, with his contract being up in the summer, it seems that Manchester United are obviously looking to cash in on him whilst they can. But the stumbling block does appear to be that if Newcastle are definitely interested, they would seemingly prefer a loan move for the 29-year-old rather than a permanent one. It also may suit the attacking midfielder as well, given Newcastle's current position and the likelihood of them going down into the Championship and playing their football in England's second-tier division next season. Lingard may see the Magpies as a challenge in which to try and help them survive in the Premier League this campaign, but there will be nothing then to tie him down at the club beyond that point should they not manage to achieve that goal and should they actually be relegated. There are rumours of a number of clubs that are interested in signing Lingard, but they don't seem to be prepared to make a move for him in January because, you know, why would you, for fee-wise, when you can obviously wait until the summer where he becomes a free agent and have to pay significantly less. It'll be interesting to see what the future holds for Jesse Lingard and whether or not he can get a move away this January or whether he has to wait until the summer. And finally, the final story of this video brings us to Tottenham and their captain and goalkeeper Hugo Lloris, who has signed a new deal with the club. The French international's original contract was set to end at the end of this season, and talks were said to be ongoing between him and the club over a new deal. And yesterday it emerged that a signing had been agreed, negotiations had passed, and Lloris has now signed a new 2.5-year deal with Spurs, which will see him stay at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium until at least 2024. A goalkeeper who's obviously won more for country than he has for club in terms of the Nations League triumph of last year and the World Cup back in 2018. I want to ask, should Lloris be a player who deserved to win more in his career, in his club career? I don't know, I'll leave that one up to you. I believe he deserved to win more, and he probably deserved a lot more than what he got, particularly in the early years of his career, maybe even when he first joined Tottenham, around about that kind of era. But either way, Hugo Lloris has put end to any speculation surrounding his future, as he is staying at Spurs for the foreseeable future. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you're going to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think on any of these news topics that I talked about within this video. What do you make of the Julian Alvarez story of a link with Manchester City? Will he be a Manchester City player by the end of this transfer window, or will he be still free to play for River Plate and then obviously free to play for whoever he wants at the end of his contract? Let me know your thoughts on that. What do you make of Norwich's victory over Watford last night and the future of both Watford and Claudio Ranieri? Be interesting to see your thoughts on that. What do you make of Adama Traore? Will he be going to Tottenham in this January transfer window? What about Jesse Lingard? Will he be moving to Newcastle, or will he be free to go to wherever he wants in the summer when his contract at Old Trafford expires? And what do you make of Tottenham and the new deal for goalkeeper and captain Hugo Lloris? I'd love to know your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, down below in the comment section on any of these news stories. I'm sure they'll all make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way up if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch, this has been another New-Newz video, and I will see and speak to you all again soon in another video.